Hi. Today I want to talk about relationships and specifically the third party that usually causes a lot of issues, bickering, and fights. Now, what I mean is, let's say it doesn't matter what kind of relationship is it, as in you and your significant other, or you, your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your grandparents, coworkers, your boss, anyone you know. Usually when there's two people, things go well. And of course, we have to deal with each other's, values and thinking of lives and ideologies and everything else, but that's normal. Now, usually we get close to each other, we can communicate about things, and a lot of our problems start when there is a third party. By that, I mean the third person. It doesn't really matter who it is as well. So if you have a relationship, and whether it is your significant other, whether it is a person of your family, a member of your family, your friend, your boss, your coworker, that third party will get in the way. And all it needs is, let's say you are talking on the phone and your lover is right there, someone you care about is right next to you, they wanted to have a conversation, and someone calls you on the phone. It's important, I have to pick it up, it's work, I've got to answer the phone, or it's family, it's probably important, they're calling me for a reason. And the conversation you have been having stalls. Now, that's one little thing. It might be a little irritating, like, hey, we've been having an important talk, and all of a sudden your attention goes elsewhere, and you put me like below that person. So, of course, significance falls and everything else, and that's small for some people. But things like this build up, where you have a relationship and you're talking to someone, and that third person, doesn't matter who it is, it might be someone you don't know, a complete stranger, or a friend or a family member, it's anyone really, but things they say will affect you or the other person that you have a relationship with. And it can go in so many ways, where you're talking to your father, for example, and now your dad had a fight with mom. You're not doing so good, and all of a sudden you're in between, there's a whole triangle, and you can't have a conversation, or you can't have the normal connection you used to. But usually this is a more common thing between lovers, though it happens with everyone else, like even in work situations. You and coworker are like, best buddies, and all of a sudden, coworker you have, like best buddies, are having some deals with boss, and they get a rise just because, like they've talked to boss a bit more than you, and all of a sudden it's like you feel some resentment for your friend. Why him? Why her? Why did they get the raise and I didn't? Why are they getting all the attention and I didn't, even though I did more work than they did? It pisses you off. But eventually the boss was the third party. And all of these things, I think it is very important to be aware of it, because a lot of our issues in relationships, as we talk to each other and deal with things, if we know that there has been the third party that caused the problem, then we can start pointing fingers not at each other, but at least, hey, look, we have had a very good relationship. We've been having a great conversation, and all of a sudden someone else interrupted, and our values and everything else we have had kind of been triggered, and they got in the way. If we can not, let's say, just point finger and blame someone else for all that, but become aware of what happened. Why did things get in the way? Who triggered it? Like, it's usually not you or the person you've had a good relationship with, but the third party that messed it all up. So having that awareness allows us to step back and not blame the other person. And a lot of times, like, it's a given, like people like also have this thing like in physics where you have the coil and you have the magnet, and it's that thing where you try to get someone and they like kind of pull away from you, and then you're like, okay, fine, and you take some distance, and now they start getting to you. There's that dance, so to speak. And again, like we have to have some variation and awareness of why it's going on, what are we doing, and how to keep the person closer to us if we want to. And probably like one of the best things, like to have a good relationship, I would just go with Tony Robbins' 6 basic human needs and satisfying them. That whole contribution, variety, significance, connection and love, self-development, and contribution and significance. Yeah, I think I told them. But anyway, like if we feel safe like that's certainty, feeling safe, like, hey, that person is not going to cheat. I know that when I get back home, they're going to be here. I know that when I get back home, there's going to be a meal and someone waiting for me, or whenever I call, they're going to answer. And whatever your relationship with that person is, it's like that certainty is very important. It's basics. And then variety, or what Tony says is also like uncertainty, like say any way you want, but it's basically having some surprises, because you would not want to have routine and same thing happening all the time. And so it's the same thing as like trying to take a new road to your work. It might be a little bit challenging, might be a bit stressful, but hey, you tried out something new, you saw new things, and it's a whole new experience. And so that variety where a person can surprise you, where they say something, where they do something you don't even expect. Like even like if you have a fight and breaking the whole cycle of the way we are, you're just like, oh, it's my personality and I'm going to be right no matter what. And I'm going to, talk and give all the arguments and prove my point. And I'm going to be on top of it all. Because like, hey, I'm right from my perspective. And that person, instead of fighting you back like they usually do because they feel right as well, they're going to give in and make you right and make a joke about it. And all of a sudden you start laughing because like it's ridiculous and like, what the fuck, it's like unusual. They don't usually do that. And cycle is interrupted and some variety is created. So like it goes in lots of ways, doing something new, something you don't expect, just breaking old cycles and habits and all. So that's a good thing. Now, significance as well, just feeling important, saying compliments like, hey, like noticing everyday things. Someone makes you coffee and you're like, usually like, hey, thanks, but hey, honey, or, whatever that person is, thank you so much for making coffee. This is great. Are you like a pro? Because like, damn, this is good. So like anything that they might not expect, but also anything that would make them feel better as a person. Just noticing something about it, something personal, not like, of course, obvious is good, but make it more even personalized is like really helps. And then connection, love, of course, like, having communication is so much needed. Like there are so many people on Reddit and all over the place asking for tips about relationships and what to do, when the basic is just have a conversation, sit down and talk about it. Even though it's unpleasant, even though you might not want it, even though you might have tried and didn't work in the past, usually the solution is sit down and talk about it, but honestly, and not necessarily trying to prove your point and like, hey, this is how I feel and this is it. But kind of like learn not to just tell everything you feel, but at the same time, get into other person's perspective, understand why they have this issue, why are they feeling unpleasant, triggered, and anxious and all. And like a lot of these like point of views, if we can understand both sides, that'd be great. Of course, it's not everyone wants to do all the time, but it's a good thing to practice. And then like, so that would be connection, like communication, talking to each other, some of the physical content, love. Now love from Tony's perspective it's all about intimacy. And no, love is not sex, but you can be best friends with someone and you're going to be connected. But love starts when you get intimate, when it's not just a hug, when it's not just a kiss, when you go deeper into that. And you're not going to have sex with all of your friends. That's friendship, that's connection. But love is when you go intimate. So, and it goes on various levels as well. But, so there's that. And also self-development. Each person has to grow. And if we don't grow, then we perish. It's basically same if business would be staying in one place. Like let's say COVID hits. A lot of restaurants that didn't have, let's say, online ordering or finding a way where they can still deliver had to close or went bankrupt, and basically like, hey, they had no way out. So they were standing in the same place. They had no self-development and boom, now they perish. So if a business is like, okay, we have COVID, hard times, lockdowns, clients are not coming here, what are we going to do? How about we allow people to order online and we're going to find someone to deliver the food? Boom, you start getting orders and you're developing. Same thing with relationships. Every person has a dream. They kind of want to get better one way or the other, goals, dreams in life and things. So like noticing what the person likes, what are they interested in, where they're kind of like, oh, I kind of want to get a guitar. That's self-development. They're going to learn, they're going to practice, and finding things that they're interested in and supporting them in that would be really great. The last one would be contribution, is where you can really help people. As in, hey, if you care about animals and you want to spend your weekends kind of like, in animal shelters, just kind of like helping out puppies, helping people to adopt animals and other things, or, rescuing someone, great. If you're interested in, hey, look, the world is in a harsh place and there's a lot of people who are homeless or alcoholics and, people like who've been, like Marines and in war and now they have PTSD, and you're a war veteran too, and now you want to talk and help others. That contribution, finding ways how you or the other person can help and contribute to humanity one way or the other, like this video, is in a way contribution. I'm talking, maybe I just need one person to hear what I have to say. Maybe someone's going to take what I say and learn it, use it in life, apply it to self, because like first, of course, we have to fulfill our needs and work on ourselves. That's the most important part. Put yourself first, help yourself learn, practice, learn that self-love, practice it as well. And then if you have anyone that you care about, practice those, like basic needs on others and trying to satisfy them. And like Tony says, like they're going to become your raving fans. And by that I mean, it's not just like, hey, kind of like you, buddy. Like, no, they're crazy about you. Like you're the best in every possible way. So that contribution goes in lots of ways. And whether you choose to talk or simply be a good listener and help out someone, like it's important. So, I started with the third parties. And like I'm saying, noticing those things is very important because as relationships goes, usually most of our arguments and misunderstandings and issues start because of a third party. Let's say you love someone and, for girls and guys, it's going to be the same old thing about cheating. Hey, I want you to be mine. And we might even be a bit controversial and contradicting or hypocritical, where I kind of would like to look at more guys or have some more friends, but I have a guy already, so I shouldn't. And the guys are like, well, I have the girl, she's perfect, but damn, that girl is cute. And you kind of want to go there. So we kind of accept that, like, hey, watching porn, like we might not like it, we might not approve of it, but, like some people like are okay with it, so they let them do it. And it's not like fully controlling their person, but like, hey, you do your thing, fine, sure. And still having a good relationship. Now, then there's the third party where, hey, buddy, let's go drink and look at cute girls, or like, hey, like, let's go out and have dinner and see if we can hook up with some cute, handsome guys. And all of a sudden, hey, it becomes an issue. Third party, it starts to get you involved in some scheme that you might not be aware of, or they're pushing some people onto you, or all of a sudden the relationship you've had with full of like trust, or at least, hey, things were stable, now is being triggered by someone else. And if you can catch those times, you don't get into those cycles of arguments and fighting with each other and proving your point. And, it can be people, it can be entities, like someone we might not see. And like, let's say, oh, like we hear voices in our head, or tons of thoughts. Let's say when you were a kid, your parents or people in school told you something and that comment sort of stuck with you. So that could be like a little entity talking in your head of another person. And you're trying to have a relationship, you are talking to someone you care, and that entity of someone from your childhood with that one sticky phrase that hurts you is saying, hey, you're a loser, you can't have that person, they're never going to trust you. And whatever comments you have heard about, yourself or life, or the cliches like all men are pigs or all girls are, like gold diggers and stuff like that, like those stick. And we try to get over it. We try to like, hey, I would not like to believe in it, but deep inside, subconsciously, I do have a fear, and we have to deal with those things. So catching ourselves when a third party starts triggering us is very important, because then we don't go into the cycle and old habits of whatever interactions you have with any person you have a relationship with. And, being able to stop it or notice it and not go down the hill is very important. Anyway, there's a lot of details in it, and I think like I'm just talking in general, but if you think there are important things you have learned about having relationships and things that have helped you out, or notice that, hey, others are doing really great and they're using this one thing, share in the comments. The secret to having a better relationship, the secret, or, the thing, the phrase, the thinking, the ideology, the technique, anything that makes relationships better, please share in the comments. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.